Hey, thanks for pressing play and welcome once again to another edition of the Suns Jam Session Podcast. My name is John, aka Darth Voida. You can follow the show at Suns Jam on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. That's all. You can follow me at Darth Voida, or you can read my writing at brightsideofthesun.com. Coming to you live from the footy, if you will, the Footprint Center in downtown Phoenix, where the Suns, after 3 days off, played the Houston Rockets, a team that we lost to just a week ago. And Matthew is working late and not for the Suns tonight. So I've got somebody else who's going to just, his voice, it's sexy. It's that of Gavin, the Aussie Suns Fan Podcast. Jock Landell's out here tonight. I figured, why not have Gav with me? How you doing, man? It's been a minute.
I'm doing really well, man. Thanks for having us on again. I always love jumping on the Suns Jam. And, of course, as you said, got to celebrate the fact that there was an Aussie on the court in Phoenix again tonight at the footy.
Yeah, he's out there doing his best impression of Hack and Nurk, which actually was working out for him. And it's just funny. It's like, here you go. It's Jock Landell, right? A guy who, a year ago was starting playoff games for the Phoenix Suns. And now his one duty in life is to hack Nurk. What a difference a year makes, my friend. What a difference a year makes indeed.
I'm interested, though, like in the arena, what was the crowd reaction like to Jock getting on the floor?
So there was like a slow clap. Like I was sitting there, I was like, ooh, like he didn't get a tribute video or anything beforehand. And then when they announced him coming in, you heard some like sporadic cheers. And my feedback on that is it goes to show you how uneducated some fans are. That's what I feel. I feel like the true fans were clapping because you appreciate Jock Landell and who he was and the energy that he brought last season. And everybody else is like, I like his new jerseys. They're all new fans out here. So I don't know. That was just my take from afar. I'm like, why is he not getting a bigger ovation? This is fucking Jock Landell. Suck my jock. You know what I'm saying?
And he was a big part of what we did last year. So it was we had an opportunity, I guess, in the crowd there and it sounded a little bit like he did get some applause, but it wasn't anywhere near the campaign type level or anything like that. So yeah.
No, campaign, you got to think he was here through the finals run. He had much more of a following, and Jock was just here for a year. It might felt like longer, but he was just here for a year. So I guess he got the appropriate amount, but I'm always just like, respect the guys who came here, even if you didn't like him. Like when Aiden was here, I'm like, cheer the guy, man. He was 5 years. He's the only number one pick in the history of the organization. Like, pay this man his money. Like, cheer this man.
And he did. And that man did give us one of the greatest moments that we will ever remember. So,
well, that's a good segue. We're about to start the show, so you will see one of the greatest moments ever, the Valley Oop, as a part of our montage for the intro. But before I get to that, Gav, can you tell everybody where they can follow you?
Yeah, at Aussie Suns Fans on YouTube. Go and subscribe and do all that sort of stuff. And at Aussie Suns Fans on X/Twitter. Come along, follow us. Basically, it's just me talking crap most of the time, but hey, I think it's entertaining, so come and join and follow.
Listen, if you're going to follow the Aussie Suns Fan Podcast, you have to do it closely as Gav did to Devin Booker in the picture located behind him. Followed him very close. But seeing as we are international tonight, and shout out to everybody who's watching along live or later or listening at a different time, thank you for your support of the Suns Jam Session Podcast. I know that we're not just local to Phoenix. In fact, a shout out tonight to Josh from Baton Rouge. If you're listening to this tomorrow or watching it tomorrow, I know who you are, and I appreciate you. So pop them if you got them. I've got a beer. It is a root beer. So I'm going to pop it. Ooh, what is that?
Just a Carlton Dry. Carlton Dry.
What's a Carlton Dry?
That's just a beer, just a lager in Australia.
All right.
I've been cleaning out my garage. I'm thirsty.
Let's talk about this win. heads off, come out and beat the Houston Rockets. But they beat them just 110 to 105, which brings me to my first question.
Oi, Matty. Mate, I've got to ask.
Gavin, I got to ask. Phoenix Suns in the first half, they look great. First quarter, 33 points. Second quarter, 31 points. And then in the third and fourth quarter, the second half, they end up scoring a total of 46 points. What is it with this team? Like, why can't they just put their foot on the throat of the opposition sometimes?
Yeah, it's I think it's frustrating, particularly because in the first half, I put something when we were talking in our chat that it looked like the guys, like, to me, it looked like KD and Book come out of that 4-day break, gave each other a nod and went, okay, it's time to go to work. We're in the back half of the year heading into playoffs. And that's what those two look like. Book dominated the first quarter. KD started the second quarter on fire. It looked like we were just going to cruise. It was going to be 15 to 25 points for the entire game. And then all of a sudden those turnovers came again. Those blatantly bad turnovers too. It allows the opposition to get on a run. And Houston, they're an exciting type of team. They're going to get a bit of momentum out of that. And we keep doing that. And the second half was the same thing. We just Book his shot. He was on fire in the first half. Couldn't find it really in the second half. Again, 6 threes. He just can't break that 6-3 barrier, can he? But he just couldn't find those shots. And the offenses that we ran so many times late in the shot clock and just forcing up really poor shots in the second half. And it's still a concern. But, yeah, look, a win's a win. We'll take it, right?
Yeah, I'm with you there. Like, a win's a win. I mean, we know what happened last week when we lost to this Rockets team. A game we easily could have won and a game that we didn't. And even Matthew and I talked about at the end of that game, had we won that game, we probably still wouldn't be super happy, but you'd be happy because you won. In this case, we're on the other side of that coin, where they won, but it wasn't the effort. Now, granted, in this game, they kept the Rockets at an arm's length the majority of the game. The final score being 110 to 105 isn't really a truism because Jalen Green hit a three-pointer as time expired. They actually kind of won this game by 8 points. It got down to 6 points late there in the fourth quarter, but they kept them at an arm's length. But to your point, the turnovers is something that we have to correct. The Suns can't continue to go out and turn the ball over as much as they do. They did it tonight, 14 total turnovers. Now, granted, because you're playing against the Rockets, a team that to this point in the season is 5-23 on the road, they're not executing off of those turnovers. They only scored 13 points off those turnovers. But you start talking about some of the tougher teams that we have up in the schedule, and those turnovers become points, and we've seen that recently. Why do we lose games? Well, because they turn the ball over, and then they allow the opposition to score the points. Tonight it didn't happen, but there was other things that were definitely factors in the Suns not blowing this team out. Very poor from the line. They shot 67.2% from the line on 37 free throw attempts, right? And on the other side, the Rockets end up shooting 90% on 31 free throw attempts. So from a math standpoint, that's how that kind of worked out. But you got to be better. You can't be that unfocused heading into that second half. You can't start the first half shooting the way that you are and then allowing the second half a team to just hang around like that, because again, we're talking about a bad team that's horrible on the road, and to let them stay in it as long as they did, although it's a win, and like you said, a win is a win, and I'm happy a win's a win, I'm still somewhat critical of the win because of the manner in which it occurred.
And I think the additional piece to that is we're after All-Star game now. We don't want to see a win's a win anymore. Now is the time this team needs to have it together, because we're effectively heading into a playoff run, and we want to see that the team is playing effectively, and that when we do play in these playoff games and against playoff teams, that we're going to restrict those turnovers. We're going to be able to make those shots at the foul line. Those are core skills of the game that we need to be able to execute when it comes to playoffs. And look, I get it. It's the Rockets. The game was pretty comfortable, but we're after All-Star break now. Now, we as Suns fans, we sat there all year going, there's still a lot of time. There's still a lot of time. There's still a lot of time. The time's run out. You've got to execute now.
Sorry, you caught me mid sip there. I completely agree. Like, and again, we play this same team on Saturday, followed the next night against OKC, who lost to the Spurs tonight. So now is the time to start ramping up and start learning how to, and they shouldn't have to learn how to at this point, put teams away. And they just continually do. I mean, 22 points in the third quarter. They ended with 24 in the fourth. Yeah, 24. It's just, man, you got to be better than that. You got to be better than that, Phoenix Suns. But looking at some of the bright spots tonight, it started with Devin Booker.
Big Dick Booker.
Devin Booker tonight came out and had 20 points in the first quarter. The Rockets themselves had 17. It was 33-17 after the first quarter. Booker ends the night with a total of 35 points, 13 of 27 shooting, however. And granted, that first quarter, he was unbelievably efficient as well. Started the first quarter going to, 8 of 10 from the field. So 8 of 10, he ends 13 of 27. So that means he goes 5 of 17 the remainder of the game. But 35 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, a block, and 1 brush up with Cam Whitmore. Tell me what you saw tonight, Gavin.
Look, we got that. My favorite, the Armani mode first quarters. Whenever we see those Armani mode first quarters, you always know you're in for an enjoyable game to watch. He's almost unstoppable at times in those first quarters, and we saw that. I mean, the drive against Şengün and these sorts of plays that he was pulling out, they're always really, really great to watch. But again, he got halftime, he was 5 for 6 from 3. I thought, here he goes. We're finally going to see it. He's going to get past that barrier of 6 threes. Second half, it was just, again, I just feel like the offense almost changes and it becomes an isolated, contested shot later in the shot clock. And we all know Book can hit the amazing, but he hits the amazing when he goes one-on-one and takes the ball early in the shot clock, takes his opponent on, takes him to the hole, does it. When it gets late in the shot clock, we've tried to pull off whatever it is we've tried to pull off, and he's got to take those tough turnaround, fadeaway shots, and that's when we start to see that gap open up in his shooting percentages, and that's what we saw in the second half today. But Book was Book. Again, he's over 30 points. I think that's 200 times now. He now leads the league in 20-point quarters this year. We're blessed. We're blessed to be able to watch this guy play basketball.
It's artful what he did tonight. Again, in the first quarter, I've been somewhat critical of Booker these past, since the All-Star break occurred, and I'm going to continue that trend. I think tonight, the way that he made his I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase this. Booker can make it look easy at times. That's one of the skill sets that he possesses, is somebody who can score on all 3 levels. I mean, in that first quarter, 3 or 4 of 4, I think, from beyond the arc. He's making left-handed runners down the lane, and he makes it look easy. For some reason, in the second half, and it's not necessarily for some reason, I know the reason, I guess I'll get to that, and that's where I'll give Booker some credit. He starts to take some more difficult shots, and that's almost like a KD-ism, right? Like, KD likes to take difficult shots for some reason. And because he can make them, that's the reason. But also at halftime, it seemed like Ime Udoka went into the locker room, got the Rockets together, and said, listen, guys, we've got to play physical, swarming defense. And that's what they did in the second half. And they got called for fouls on that as well. I mean, that's the other side of that. And that's why you had so many people foul out in this game. But they started to be an irritant to Devin Booker. Dylan Brooks started doing more Dylan Brooks things. Cam Whitmore was starting to get a lot more physical with Booker. They were double teaming him a lot more. Hell, they started double teaming him in the first quarter after he lit him up. But Booker has to learn to navigate that appropriately, I think is the best way to put it. And that's a criticism I've had of him of late is, that teams are going to start to do that to you. How you respond, you still have to be efficient. And again, here I'm complaining with Devin Booker scoring 35, just like I did when they lost to Dallas. He scored 35 in that game, and I was like, dude, you could still have done better. So maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, Gav.
Well, I absolutely agree. He starts to look. I get the whole press, and they are. He's getting double teamed a hell of a lot more than KD is, which is always fun to watch. But
yeah,
the whole thing is that he does force up those late in the shot clock contested shots when this happens, and it's interesting to watch because there was a game before the All-Star break, but I can't remember what it was. I think it might have been, was it the game he scored 50? Where they came out with the double, but he got rid of the ball and went, you know what, for a few minutes here, I'm just going to give the ball up and let others go to work.
And I love
KD
that.
went to work. Yeah, KD went to work. Everybody else went to work. The floor opened up again, and then Booker went, bang, 10 points in 2 minutes. He has to do that more often. He has to go, okay, they're overplaying me now. I've got to give the others that opportunity and let them open up and take control of the game for a bit. And then the play will open up for me again.
Well, and the other side of it is one of the reasons why the Suns were so effective in the first quarter, the first half, is the ball was moving around. And as you mentioned, like Booker was a beneficiary of it because the doubles weren't coming because they weren't playing as physical yet in the game. But that the opposing teams are going to adjust. And I think that that's one of my frustrations. And I know that he watches the podcast. And for this, I'm sorry. But Frank Vogel, you got to adjust. So sorry for putting you through that. But that is one of the challenges, I feel. Like the Suns have these great first quarters or great first halves. And then in the second quarter, they don't necessarily adjust. And don't get me wrong, like he has made plenty of adjustments this season. But at the same time, it's almost like they don't prepare for the adjustment to the adjustment. They don't prepare that the opposing team's going to adjust. And like the Rockets are not a good team, but they have a really good coach. These are the conversations, Gav, that you and I are going to have come playoff time when the Clippers are sitting on the other side of the arena. And they got Ty Lue, who's known for making those adjustments. And Frank Vogel's got to not just think a step ahead. Him and his coaching staff have to get 2 steps ahead and go, listen, we came out and we imposed our will. There's going to be, for every action, there's an equal reaction, right? They're going to come back, and guess what? They're going to play physical, which they did tonight. They're going to start doubling, which they did tonight. We need to prepare for that and know what we're going to do ahead of time, not in the moment. And that happens too often. That's what happened at the beginning of the second quarter, right? The Suns give up a 4-0 run. That's what happens at the beginning of the fourth quarter, where the Suns give up a 4-0 run. And thankfully, it's only the Rockets because it took the Suns like 3 minutes to score to start the fourth. But good teams, that becomes a 10-0 run, a 14-0 run, like the Dallas game, a 16-0 run in the blink of an eye. So you have to be ready for the adjustment to the adjustment.
And that's probably the gap, I think, that we're all seeing, or well, most of us are seeing, I guess, right now is I'm sure that we have adjustments to the game plan, but we don't have adjustments that are specific to opposition. And I think that's the thing that stands out to me at the moment is, okay, KD's going to get doubled when Book's not on the floor. We're going to adjust and we're going to run this style of play. But we're not picking up that, okay, well, it's the Rockets. So they've got additional length. So when KD's going to get double teamed and he tries that loopy over the top soft pass, I guess it is, that we all see KD do and then sit there and go, oh my God. That happens against teams with length. And it happens every time. So we're not adjusting and going, KD, you can't allow the double to get you in that corner because that high pass is going to get picked off with the additional length. Get it out early, get it back, reset, let's go again. against specific sides. Then again, there's going to be teams where KD gets doubled and he gets the ball to Nurk on the block and he can dominate because the side's smaller. But yeah, for me, it's the adjustments. We need to make those adjustments that are matchup specific, not just, okay, well, if they're going to double, we're going to do this.
Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree. And I think that you have, in theory, the coaching staff here, and continuity is a thing. Okay, it is a thing. Despite Bradley Beal being out again and Eric Gordon being out again, we are 2/3 of the way through the season. This isn't guys learning to play with each other and coaches learning what those guys have relative to abilities. These are guys who can play together and coaches who know what they can do. So adjust to that, be matchup specific, and execute that. The Suns tonight, again, and like, it's funny because if you were just tuning in, you didn't watch the game, you thought the Suns lost. I
True, we haven't been very positive yet.
I don't know what it is, Gav. I've been on like this critical run of the Suns. For those of you who read Bright Side of the Sun, I feel like my last 2 or 3 articles I've written have just been really negative. I've got the one where I'm literally calling out the statistics on Devin Booker's defensive regression this year. And then I put out the one about how great it is to have Nurkic, but at the same time I'm bashing DA because he should be. And then, God, what was the third one I did?
You got Nurk love out of that, though.
I did. Yusuf Nurkic retweeted one of my tweets, which was pretty cool. I was like, thanks, man. And then I had a whole article just dogging the Suns on their effort recently. And I broke it down statistically how, from an offensive rebounding standpoint, they're not, from a closeouts standpoint, like I picked like 4 or 5 hustle statistics. I'm like, damn, Suns, like you're bottom of the league in this shit, man. That's not winning basketball. So, Gav, tell me something that'll make me make me smile, make me positive again. I don't know what's happening to me.
Well, look, ultimately there, John, and that one was for Boyd. Ultimately, Boyd.
Ultimately, Boyd.
Bradley Beal makes this team different. He does. It's just, I mean, have a look at the record with Beal and without Beal. Yes, I get it. Suns fans, we're frustrated that Beal's got another hamstring injury. But when he comes back, I'm more than confident that he's going to be healthy enough. I think we're just being cautious right now, and he's not playing. We have the squad here that can absolutely compete come playoffs for Western Conference Finals and championships. And the good thing is, yes, you've been potentially how you see it a little bit negative, but you're just calling it out. The good thing is, as you said, Frank Vogel watches this podcast, so he can address all these things going into the playoffs. And then in June, we'll all be in the streets of Phoenix, watching them drive down the street with the Frankie Trophy and drinking beers.
Cheers to that, my friend. God, I hope you're right. I want to see you again so bad. Well, how about like Frank Vogel and Kevin Durant acknowledging the Frank Vogel parody account? Like, that is hilarious. So now's the time, Gavin. You can go ahead and let all of Suns Nation know that you're behind the Frank Vogel account.
I wish I was. That'd be fantastic. But no, it wasn't me. I'm not that creative.
I want to know who it is, and like,
me too.
I know, just like, but that's part of the allure. Is like, I don't know, and it's like that's part of the allure too. So,
but it's surely someone we've all known. So I actually went back through Twitter and went, who's not tweeting as much anymore? That has always been tweeting. I really couldn't find anyone. Oh, but Matthew Lissy never tweets. Maybe. Could it be our friend from Fanning the Flames, Dan Duarte? We haven't seen him on Twitter for a very long time.
This just got interesting. You're right. He only like retweets stuff on occasion.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, we'll think about that. And let's do this drop.
Who the heck are you?
I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am. Y'all know who I am.
Did anybody see a sniper? Did anybody see anything?
I'm one of the best players to ever play the game.
Kevin Wayne Durant, 24 points tonight on 8 of 19 shooting, 1 of 3 from beyond the arc, had 7 rebounds, had 6 assists. Much akin to the majority of the team, not the best shooting night, but shot it when it matters. I thought that one of the best sequences of the game is the Suns allowed a 7-0 run to the Houston Rockets. KD comes down, hits a jumper, bounce pass to Eubanks for a jam, and then hits a three. And like instantly the faucet has been turned off and the runs are over. I have the runs. Poop. Go ahead, Gavin. Tell me about Kevin Durant tonight.
I thought, look, the most impressive part about KD's game tonight was on the defensive end. I thought he was engaged the whole night. And he was just, his length gave them real trouble. I'm still concerned about and he went through a patch, I think it was in the second quarter, just after what you just spoke about, the run he went on, which got us going in the second quarter, where he turned the ball over like 3 times in a row. And they weren't just turnovers, they were bad turnovers.
Well, they lead to like fast break point type of turnovers, you know, like.
And they're the ones I want to see KD get rid of, because it's almost like he goes into I can just cruise now mode, and then he turns the ball over 3 times. And they're the ones that I want to see KD get rid of. But at the end of the day, KD was great. Again, he was a fantastic support for Book tonight. When we needed some points, KD stepped up and gave us the points. It was a typical KD game without being spectacular. His biggest contribution for me was on the defensive end.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And, you know, him and Booker cannot combine tonight for 59 points. Like, I'll take that all the time. Like, 60 is kind of one of those magical numbers if you're a basketball fan and you have a duo, right? Like, if your guys can get to 60 points a night, that's what you want from a great duo, because that's essentially 30 points a night from them, or one guy goes for 40, one guy goes for 20. I will say, Gav, I am kind of upset because Devin Booker over 40 points tonight was plus 800. I bet it. He had 20 in the first quarter. I was like, oh, fuck, this is fucking cash money, dude. And then, like, he looked up and he saw me sitting here and he's just like, fuck you, dude. You're not getting that money. But I will say this. This is and I just totally took a Kevin Durant story and turned it into a Devin Booker one. So let me finish my point on Durant, and then I'll pop back to Devin Booker. But you're right, the way that his defense, and it's something like the thing you have to remember, Jamstis, is that this team is going to be playing the Suns again on Saturday. So there's going to be even more adjustments. So KD, the way that he came out and created some havoc on the defensive end, expect the Rockets and Ime Udoka to make adjustments to that and be prepared for that and, you know, attack it or go the other way. But I liked what I saw from him. Again, a rough shooting night, but what I loved is he kept shooting, and I've talked about that before, Kevin Durant. Like, that's what makes him great, is watching him shoot. It's artistic. I was sitting down. I actually sat at, like, the center court chair during shoot around today. I'm like, I'm gonna sit center court. And I sent you guys a picture in the chat of like the little cool logo that they got right there. It's the same seat that Amari Stoudemire ended up sitting in the game. So I warmed it up for stat tonight. Farted in it twice. But one of the things, I was watching Kevin Durant take shoot around. I posted a video of it, and some guy walked in the way, but he hit like 8 shots in a row, and I only like posted 3 because that guy walked in the way. But another one of those cool things that I saw, and this is one of those little things that's fun about coming to the games, if you come early enough to just watch shoot around, is Devin Booker comes out and he walks over and, you know, he gets like something from a table, like a mouthpiece or something, and then he turns, and sitting kind of right over next to me is a family with little kids, and like he turns and he gets a basketball, he's like feeling basketballs, and he looks over at the kids, and he smiles and gives them like a little wave, and then he just goes back, and like the kids like lose their mind.
Yeah,
you know, it's like, God,
yeah,
Devin Booker is he's just classy, man. I appreciate having that guy on the team. And I love Kevin Durant too. KD, if you're following the Frank Vogel parody account, then you probably know who we are. And we absolutely love you as well. So let's talk a little bit about Bol Bol tonight.
Look, up in the sky! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's
Bol Bol, motherfucker.
Not the best Bol Bol game, only 7 points, but I'll absolutely take it. 0-2 from beyond the arc, but 3 of 6 overall. Had 4 rebounds and 26 minutes played. I love that Bol Bol played 26 minutes tonight, man. I love that in the last 3 games. He's playing over 23, 24. minutes a night, man. Because even if it's not great, amazing statistical numbers, that's 26 minutes. That's carving into time that you don't need starters out there. And that's the problem we had at the beginning of the season, remember? And it's a problem we had in the playoffs last year, remember? Where it's like no one from the bench can be productive and no one can give you more than 15 minutes. And so everybody had to play, who was a starting 5 member, everyone had to play fucking 45 minutes a night. So, again, I liked what I saw from Bol Bol tonight. It was fun.
Yeah, look, I think you and I have spoken before about Bol Bol. I firmly had an opinion that his best was sitting at the end of the bench, and that was about all we were ever going to get. I see that there's a few of the Aussies in the chat right now that are getting stuck into me because I refuse to budge on my position because I yelled loudly that Bol Bol sucks and I didn't want him on the team. So I refused to budge. He was terrible tonight. He nearly cost us that game. When Houston went on the runs, it was because Bol Bol was on the floor. No. I kind of with you there. It's he's added a really nice dimension to the team. Just prior to All-Star weekend, even tonight, like 26 minutes. Did he have his greatest game? No. Again, I thought he struggled on the defensive end, but what he does is spread the floor. And you can see that on the offensive end when he's out there, the opposition teams now have to step out and cover that off. And that's something we've probably lacked a little bit. I still don't believe that we run a lineup with Bol Bol at the 5. The dude can only play the 4.
Yes, correct.
When he plays the 5, we are horrible. But in saying that, look, he's doing really well to earn these minutes, and he's going to be in that 8-man rotation come playoffs because it suits the type of lineup that we have. And we were hoping we'd get that out of like a Yuta Watanabe, and obviously Yuta's gone now, but we're getting that out of Bol Bol, and I'm here for it. I'm okay with it. Except I refuse to accept him.
The one thing I'll say about Bol, and like I love advanced stats. They're just interesting to me. I got to see what like his shot deterrence is and his closeouts, because I mean those were some issues he had last year with some perimeter defense. He was the worst perimeter defender in the league, and something I talked about all offseason once we got him. I'm like, dude, this guy's gonna suck. He can't defend the perimeter. But you see it again tonight when he's closing out on guys. They shoot the ball differently because they feel his length, and they have to. That sounds so inappropriate. They feel his length, but they feel his length, and they have to shoot over him, and it causes the ball to not go in. So I appreciate that. Even when he's out of position defensively, even though he does get lost on possessions on both offense and defense, and I literally am watching Frank Vogel like directing him where to go sometimes. Again, he's earned starting minutes. Not a great night tonight, but I don't care. I didn't need him to have a great night tonight. I need him to just be out there and eat some minutes.
And that's important, right?
100%.
I think that statement is important. It's more important than anything else. We don't need Bol Bol to have 25 and 15. We need him to have
It's great when he does.
7. Yeah, yes. Look, and we're going to enjoy it. But if he can fill those 15 to 20 minutes and have 10 and 7, we're going to be really, really pleased because in a 6-game series in the playoffs, we know that in 2 of those games, Bol Bol is going to have 20 and 10, or 15 and 10, or whatever the case may be.
Or he's going to play some defense that's going to be key during a stretch when either KD, or especially when KD's sitting. Like, that's why it's important. Yeah. And the reason we know this is because we felt it last season, and it's what was the demise of the Suns. Is they traded for Kevin Durant, but they compromised all of their wing depth in an effort to do so, and nobody on the bench, just like earlier this season when you mentioned Yuta Watanabe and Chimezie Metu and Jordan Goodwin and KBD, none of them could step up in those bench
particularly
minutes.
On that defensive end,
Yeah, and Bol Bol has stepped up on offense and defense, and that's why I'm very excited for the performances that he's had.
The other thing for me with Bol Bol, the thing I've really enjoyed, and look, again, I'm watching from afar, so I only get to watch on League Pass every time. I don't see what's happening on the ground. But when he comes to the bench and every time after every play and stoppage in play, there are players on this team that are pulling him aside, having a discussion with him. I don't think he's probably never ever received that before.
No.
I seen on the feed today, Thad Young pulled him aside when he came off after his third foul and was directing and talking to. I mean, Thad's been here a week. Fantastic. We're going to get more and more, and Bol's only going to improve when he's getting guidance from Kevin Durant, Thad Young, Yusuf Nurkic, these guys that have been in the league a while, and they're actually giving him the information, and it looks like he's soaking it up and learning from that, which is great.
And he's putting together some of his best stretches of basketball in his entire career because of it. And it's something that, again, like Jamskers, I was very anti-Bol Bol at the beginning of the season. But all of these little things, it's the little things, right? It's the things that you want to see and hear. It goes back to like when Josh Jackson was drafted. One of the things that, although I didn't agree with him as a draft pick, one of the things that I heard about him was he was one of those gym rats, somebody who loved to be in there and try to learn and grow. And you're like, okay, that's what I want to hear. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him, but you're seeing it come to fruition with Bol Bol. So love what we see from there. Do want to get to a couple other topics, but I do want to give a shout out to Biscuits and the Bear. $15 in the super chat. Thank you, Biscuits. That's 10 Lakers retro. And tonight, man, the Suns really need to get the turnovers in check, especially in the fourth, but still a win. So that's $5 for tonight's win and $10 for the win against the Lakers last Sunday. Fuck you, Jalen Green. You cost me $3 because it should have been an 8-point victory. But thank you to Biscuits and the Bear for doing that. We do have to touch on this topic because I don't know if you know, but Bradley Beal didn't play again tonight.
And she said, you're not the only one, but you're the best, Bradley. Bol Bol.
So the question here, Gav, is how concerned are you getting? Because, like, this guy got injured before the All-Star break, sat out the All-Star break, and hasn't played since. I mean, this is a couple weeks out. Oh, Frank Vogel's down there shooting the shit with people.
Shouldn't he be on Twitter?
I'm like watching Twitter now. I'm like, is it really him? Is that his creative crew down there? Sorry.
Actually, that'd be the greatest troll. That'd be the greatest troll of all time if it actually was him. The greatest troll of all time. Look, of course it's concerning because I think we've said it to each other before when I was over and caught up with you guys. My biggest concern was that when we looked at the Clippers and the fact of they went from what everyone thought was potentially a basket case to a championship contender once they had 25 straight games of continuity. We got to like 22, and then Beal got hurt again. We need. I still think that you get those games and those multiple games in a row. We looked better and better every single time those guys went out on the floor. We need the guy on the floor. There's no doubt about it. But it's a hamstring injury, and hamstring injuries are a pain in the ass. So he had the All-Star break. I feel like they gave him today as well. And I honestly, I believe he'll be back against Houston on Saturday, your time, Sunday, my time. I still believe he'll be back then, and we're going to hopefully get the opportunity. Hopefully we'll get the opportunity rolling forward from here to make sure that we have the continuity on the floor. I'm concerned, but I'm not. I don't think that I don't think it's a season ender.
We want him to be healthy. We need him to be healthy come playoff.
Yeah, we do.
Period.
Yeah.
But we can't have him getting healthy in the playoffs. And I think that that's what's scary right now because it feels like it's coming closer and closer. You're right. You're playing Houston, again, as I mentioned, a team that entered 5-23 on the road. I wouldn't be surprised if he sits out Saturday as well. We play Oklahoma City on Sunday. I wouldn't be surprised. I really
back to
wouldn't.
back, yeah.
You know, but you look at it, and there's a couple things here. Okay, one, Bradley Beal average is, I think, like 40 games played over the last 3 seasons prior to coming to Phoenix. With tonight, he's on pace to play like 38 games for Phoenix. So every person who said don't get Bradley Beal because he's glass and he's injury prone and he's not worth the $47 million you're paying him, they're right. I mean, he's not technically worth it because he's the best ability is availability. But we're all living in that wonderful world of what if right now and hope, hoping that he's going to be around for the playoffs. It is concerning, though, and you're right, soft tissue issues, we know it because Devin Booker's on this team. He's another guy who, when those hamstrings get hurt, you have to take your time with him. But I would like to – I don't know. I just like Frank Vogel. Hey, Frank, where'd you go, buddy? Oh, there he goes. Hey, Frank, I got a question for you, bud. No, it's like he's been saying he might be – he's been questionable since the Dallas game. Okay?
Yeah.
That was over a week, so it's just like at what point, but I guess all we can do, it doesn't – there's no use in crying over spilt milk or whatever. It's like we can just say get healthy Brad Beal, and that's all we can really hope for. So
yeah, get that 10, 15 or get that 10 to 12 games running into the playoffs. And look healthy because this team looks better when Bradley Beal's out there.
100%.
So yes, we want him healthy for the
when
playoffs.
he plays.
Yeah, and we want him healthy come playoffs. Of course we do. But we still need those guys out on the floor so they can work it out.
They can work it out. All right, let's talk about Sabin Lee real quick.
Mr. Lee. You are cleared for takeoff.
I bring up Sabin Lee because it's something that some of the Jamsters are talking about live in the chat. And again, thank you if you're joining us. Hit that thumbs up button. Obviously, the Suns have that last roster spot available. Tomorrow's kind of one of those lines of demarcation in that any player who is waived after tomorrow is not eligible for a playoff roster. So, like Patty Mills was waived today. The Suns could sign him, and he could be on the playoff team. But if, let's say that Otto Porter Jr. is waived on March 2nd by the Jazz, we can pick him up, but he can't play for the team.
Playoffs. Yeah.
So a lot of people are saying, like in the chat, do you give that last roster spot to Sabin Lee? Is what we're witnessing right now a tryout for Sabin Lee to become that final roster spot? Gavin, what are your thoughts on Sabin Lee?
He's doing okay at the moment, and I think you're right. I think it is a trial for Sabin to see whether or not he picks up that last roster spot. Personally, I don't see how Sabin Lee has any sort of impact when it comes to the crunch when we need to. And I see that, as Saul said, I prefer Mills. Personally, I prefer Patty Mills. I think that Patty Mills could he could come off the end of the bench and not necessarily play every game, but that if we need a flamethrower for a little bit, the guy, he's got leadership. He's got, and we know it as Australians. He's led our Olympic team to bronze medals, silver medals, and of course he turns into prime Michael Jordan when he goes to the Olympics. He'd be a great fit for what we're currently doing. Probably ahead of Sabin Lee, and that's only because Sabin's a little bit hesitant to take that outside shot currently still. When he gets the open three, he tends to not take that shot and try to penetrate to the basket, whether it's the up and under or try to kick it back out. Look, I think he's serviceable. I'm not going to complain if he's the last roster spot, but I think we can do better out in the market.
You know what? If that's what the Suns are going to do, then do it. If they go and they get somebody, just sign the best cheerleader and carry on, man. This is the last fucking roster.
Okay, let's bring back Ish.
Yeah, fuck it. Bring back Ish Wainwright. Put him at the end. Let him cheerlead. I'm okay with that. Like, whoever we get is not going to be an impact guy.
No, they're not.
Right? Like, think about it. We just got Thad Young. How much of an impact has he been? Other than teaching Bol Bol tonight, it's just and it's almost never do buyout guys become these massive needle movers. They become fringe players who are serviceable during the regular season to get you through the regular season, and that's about it. So although Sabin Lee is abysmal from beyond the arc, he's a career 27% 3-point shooter. He's been in the system. He attacks the basket. He's serviceable right now because Bradley Beal's out. He's getting some minutes. Let him do that for the remainder of the season. and then carry the hell on with our lives. Just get the best cheerleader. Like you said, bring back Ish. I really, really don't care. So
the 15th roster spot just doesn't matter that much, does it?
It really doesn't. But we sit here and we talk about it like any guy who's going to come in and all of a sudden he's going to have 20 minutes a game and be an impact play. It's just not going to happen. So
it's not going to happen.
Carry on, our wayward son. Got a question in the chat here. From Creepy Crawley. Says, hi, Gavin, longtime listener here. Was just wondering if you ever plan on contributing anything good to podcasts you guest on. If you don't have a response, I do, but I'll let you go first.
This isn't the Australian podcast, so I'm not going to respond how I normally would. I'll save it for Sunday.
Okay, perfect. Are you deferring to me?
Yeah, go.
Hey, Boyd, you ballless son of a bitch. We sent you the link. You could have came on, but you know what? Gavin reached down between his legs, and do you know what he found? Manhood. Yeah, we sent this link to Boyd to see if he'd come on, and he just sits there in the chat dogging Gav the whole time instead of being a man and coming on the pod. So we know what you are. We know what you are. A bitch! Love you, Boyd. I love you like a fat kid loves cake. Let's do some crazy shit.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
Where is she? Brendan in the chat, sack up, Boyd. Where is she? I don't have my Batman mask on.
I'm really disappointed. I'm really disappointed you didn't take it.
You got to realize, like, this morning, I leave for work at like 7 a.m, and I drive down to my new job. So I have to bring all my stuff to come to the game afterwards. And then today, like, I'm decorating my office, so I was bringing like pictures and things like that to hang up, and power tools to hang them up. Because fuck it, I'm going with power tools. And I got like halfway to work. I'm like, I should have brought the fucking Batman mask, because I would love right now, like right over, off to my right, there's a guy who's like got like a professional camera, and he's doing, for some Deportes channel, and it'd just be great if like I'm just over here talking like a jackass dressed as Batman.
It would have been amazing.
I will say, Jamsters, I was not prepared to do the subreddit stakeout tonight. Matthew, it was his turn to do it, but he had to cancel late because it's end of month, and he works in accounting and he's working. But I will give you my best thoughts tonight on what was said on the subreddit for the Houston Rockets tonight. So, Booker, what a bitch! Don't touch our precious Cam Whitmore. He's got the face of an angel and shoes that are magical. Sengun, more like Sengon. What about Afrin Sengun getting 6 fouls in this game and then getting a double technical? So he fouled out and then was ejected.
And then got tossed.
Like, I've never, I forgot I'm on my iPhone. I've never seen that before, Unbelievable. So good for you, Sengun. So Sengun,
well done.
more like Shengon. What else could have been said tonight? That foul was bullshit. I've never liked Kevin Durant ever since his days in OKC. And then the next person, wow, KD, what a killer.
What about
Mario?
Do you have one of Royce O'Neal only ever hit shots against Houston or something like that?
No, because he didn't.
There's always one of them. There's always one of them.
There is. Yeah. Let's see who hit shots tonight. Who killed them tonight? I guess Bol Bol. He shot 50%. Like, Royce O'Neal had a bad game relative to offense. Defense, he was great. And rebounding, he was great. He had 11 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds. But he was 3 of 10 from the field, 3 of 9 from beyond the arc, and it was like his 7th shot was his first shot that he made. But Bol Bol, that first generation Wemby only ever scores points against us.
I was gonna say maybe go with Josh Okogie because he actually hit a 3 tonight.
He did, and then he backed it up. He instantly heat checked himself, didn't he? He hit a three. He's like, I'm going to shoot another one. And then he just missed it. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is a Subreddit stakeout.
The Suns Jam Session Subreddit Stakeout.
What else did you see tonight, Gavin, before we hand out the Jam Star?
Look, it was nothing much. It was one of those games where you sort of watched it. From my perspective, I sat and watched it and went, never felt in danger. It was just a cruise. After the first quarter, when we sat there and got to watch Armani Mode go ballistic, she was pretty cruisy after that. Like you said, Royce was good on defense. Grayson was Grayson. Drew Eubanks.
Let's hand out the Jam Star, okay?
Yeah.
And I'll actually hit the drop. I won't Matthew this way.
Jam Star of the game.
Look at this
guy.
guy.
Oh, my God. Do you have to?
Hey,
I have to see him on Sunday.
You're doing our podcast, Gavin, a massive disservice by that fucking dribble you're putting up today.
Yeah, is that the best you got, mate? Is that the best you got?
It is.
Okay,
But
great.
stop ignoring me in the chat too, man. Fuck. Hi, John.
Hey, how you doing, Boyd? Here, let's give Gav a kiss, huh? For those of you who are listening, Boyd has joined the show after being called out, and I appreciate that. He only has one ball, so he's not ballless, but they call him Uniball
He's
Boyd.
got one testicle.
Down under.
Yes, one testicle.
Down there, over in Perth. That's where they call him.
Now, Boyd, you have been in the chat, like carrying on like an idiot for the entire time. So what we want, what John and I have discussed is, we believe that you now have to do everything you asked us to do. So number one, get naked.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not getting naked. Jeez. John, move on. We're going to turn this into the Aussie Suns Fans Podcast if you keep going.
He just flashed us a titty. Oh man, this is a children's show. This is what the fuck is going on? Jam Star, Boyd, who are you giving it to?
I'm giving it to Devin. All day, every day, man. Devin was killing it. And they said it in the commentary too. When he does have them first quarters that hit 20, you do expect a 40 burger. So I'm a little bit disappointed. But in saying that, there was a time late in that fourth when he got us back on track. There, it was a really, I think it got to within 6 or 8 points, and then he just made this really heavily contested midi, and it was just like, oh fuck yes. So yeah, man, give it the book.
I agree. I'm giving it to Booker. And welcome to the Suns Jam OnlyFans podcast. Show the Jamel toe from John Tran.
Show the Jamel toe. I love that.
We're going down an avenue right here.
Do not show your feet.
No,
Devin,
who do you got, Gav? Okay.
Devin Armani Booker.
I only have a small, thin penis, so I don't want to get that out live, if that's all right. You guys cool with that?
We wouldn't be able to see it. It's like a flapjack.
I'll send you a photo, but I don't want to get it out on here.
I think you have. I think you've done things to Gavin's stuff at his house.
Me and Gavin used to date. That's how we met, by the way.
We did what?
We used to date, you and I. We had 2 dates.
You guys were docking?
Yeah.
That's adorable.
Devin Booker. Thank you, John.
Yes, big Dick Booker. Okay, so
Big Dick Booker, yeah.
One last thing I wanted to talk about today. I did it. I bought Booker's shoes.
Me too.
You got the blue ones?
I got the blue ones. I'm very excited.
Nice.
Yeah. It was the wife was giving me the whole not the best time. You can't do it. And I went, you do realize it's my birthday this month? And she went, fine, buy them. I went,
really? Your birthday's in February?
March. It's March
yeah,
here today.
it's March.
Yeah.
Yes. We're still in a leap year here. No, so I had the same conversation with my wife yesterday. I'm like, hey, tomorrow 8 a.m. these go on sale, and she's like, are you kidding me? She's like, you just got some KD16s, and then you went and got like 3 pairs of Dunks, right? Like I'm wearing one pair right now. Like I got like. She's like, why do you need so many shoes? I'm like, yeah, but look at these. These will go great with jeans.
They're beautiful.
Then she was,
and then she was. Do you know what? I had the same sell point. I went, I've got my work shoes, the leather ones. I've got those. I've got my runners, which I can sort of wear around. But if I want to go anywhere, I don't have any of those casual, like funky shoes that you need to wear with jeans and a shirt. And she went, fine, just go and buy them. And I went,
yeah. And my wife was just like, no. I was like, okay. Like right before we went to bed, she rolled over. She's like, well, if you really want them. And then like, so I'm driving to work this morning in traffic, like on the app. I'm like, it's like once it goes 8 a.m., I'm just like, go.
Well, these are the only ones I wanted, by the way. The blue ones were my target.
Well, I want the Shatterboard ones when those are out, like the orange and the black ones. But like, these, like you said, these are the perfect casual shoe. So says Jay, our good buddy. He has a pair of the original ones that came out, like the beige ones. They just look comfortable, man. They look comfortable.
Yeah. They do, don't they?
Boyd, I don't know if you can wear them because of your camel toe, but
I can't afford that shit, man.
Yeah, Boyd can't wear them because he won't buy anything for him fucking self. He'll only wear them if someone else buys them for him.
He's wearing like a statement edition jersey, like a legit jersey. You can afford shoes, bro.
You think he bought that himself? That's nice of you, John.
No, I get birthdays and Christmas where I can request something like this, but I'm fucking broke ass, man. I got 5 kids. Can't afford that shit.
But that's what it is. When Christmas comes and when birthdays come, because of the 5 kids, you get a ton of presents that you technically pay for yourself because they're gifts from the kids.
And the kids like to make you stuff, and they don't make Suns apparel. They can't do that shit yet. But yeah.
You need to start running your little own sweatshop over there. Teach them how to sew, man. Come on, for the greater good of humanity and your clothing line.
Yeah, that's right. And your son's gear.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the show. The arena's gone empty. This is a live look at the footy, so there you go.
Why haven't you out yet? I was expecting Spirit to come up, and is it just Lissy they don't like, or why aren't they fucking moving you?
I don't know. I was actually having a conversation with one of my son's buddies today, who works in media relations, and I was just like, hey, just so you know, like I'm taping, I'm going live afterwards. He's like, can I tell you a story? So I guess I'll end with a story for you guys. And he goes, he's like, I've got a lot of family that lives in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. My dad's from there. My whole family lives out here. They're all generational Suns fans, but a lot of my family that lives in Louisiana, they're also Suns fans. And when I was back in Louisiana, and I was asking, I believe it's one of his cousins. He was asking one of his cousins, like, hey, how do you consume your son's content? He told him that he wakes up the next morning and tunes into the Suns Jam Session podcast. And so shout out to Josh in Baton Rouge for that reason, because, my buddy, he's just – what's that?
That's why you brought it up earlier, yeah?
Yeah. I'm like, that's awesome, man. I'm like, I don't know if I should be honored or terrified that somebody who watches the podcast, because we were just talking about flapjack penises and jamel toe. But there you go. That's the pod right there. So again, thank you to everybody, including Josh in Baton Rouge, who watches the show. If you're watching now or watching later or listening later, truly, truly appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe, rate, review, or don't. I don't care. If you know what this is and you know where to find it.
It's not hard.
Or don't. I don't care. I really don't. I never hit it whenever I watch the Aussie Suns Fans podcast. I just hang out in there the whole time. But speaking of the Aussie Suns fans, tell you guys can Boyd, tell us where they can find you.
At Buds80.
And so, Gavin, tell me where we can find you.
At Aussie Suns Fans on Twitter, at Aussie Suns Fans on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and all that sort of stuff. Appreciate you having us on again, John. I always love coming on Suns Jam. And we're on Sunday, guys. So So after the game against Houston, the next game against Houston, jump on, watch the Suns Jam, enjoy the content that John and Lissy will give you after the game. And then as soon as you finish there, jump across and jump on the Aussie Suns Fans straight afterwards.
Sounds like a G plan G. So, Jamsters, there you go. Saturday night, hang out with the Jam session. Following that, hang out with the Aussies. Can't get much better than that on a Saturday night. Am I right? Good. Go home. Love his family.